In order to make your setups easier and get repeatable results, you are going to need a few basic pieces of kit to follow along. In this lesson, you will learn about the gear needed to light your products, support your iPhone, and modify the light. So obviously you're going to need an iPhone, and in an upcoming lesson, we're going to talk about which iPhones are going to be the easiest to be able to shoot product photography with. Next, you're going to need a table to be able to set up your products on, to set your backgrounds up on, to set your lights on, and basically it's going to be the main hub for most of your product photography. This is the table that I'm going to use for this course, and this is just a very basic plastic 6-foot long by 30-inch wide table. And most tables that are between, I would say, 24 inches and 30 inches wide should work pretty well for product photography, as long as the products are fairly small. If you're working with larger products, obviously a tabletop setup is not going to work very well. But for the products that I'm going to be shooting in this course, this table is going to work out perfect. Another thing that's going to be really handy is to have some kind of background support system so that you can use different colored backgrounds for your products. You may want to shoot on a white background. You may want to shoot on a dark gray background or even a black background. Having something to set that background up on can be really handy. And this is the rig that I came up with for shooting kind of small to medium-sized products. This is just a real basic kind of PVC setup here, and I'm going to walk you through exactly how this is put together in an upcoming lesson. The next thing you're going to want to consider is how you're going to light your products. And yes, you're going to have to light all of your product shots. When it comes to lighting products for the iPhone, you're going to want to stick to something that is a constant lighting source, something like an incandescent lamp, a fluorescent lamp, or an LED light. These are the lighting fixtures that I'm going to use for this course, and these are just some really basic hardware store clamp lights. I'm going to use some CFL bulbs, and in one of the examples, I'm going to use a halogen lamp. I've also made some customizations to how I am using these clamp lights with some variable friction arms and some clamps, and I'm going to go over all that in an upcoming lesson. You're also going to need some way to hold your iPhone and attach it to a tripod to keep it very, very still and stable for these product shots. You can find dozens and dozens of different types of iPhone holders with tripod mounts online. And I'm going to walk through exactly how I have my setup configured in an upcoming lesson. Another thing that's going to be really handy to have for your setups are light modifiers. Now, light modifiers are anything that you use to change the light. And you're going to see me use a few different light modifiers for the example setups. One of those is a material to bounce light off of, and I'm going to use some very simple white poster board or white cardstock. I may experiment with using a little bit more of an efficient light bounce. This is a piece of cardboard that I glued some aluminum foil to. I have a shiny side here and a more matte side here. And this is another item that's very, very easy to make, and it's very efficient at bouncing light. So this is great to have as well. I'm also going to be using some different diffusion materials to put in front of the lights and shoot the lights through. This right here is a specially designed lighting filter material meant to diffuse the light. It's made by a company called Rosco. They specialize in making light filters, and this happens to be Rosco 116. You can find sheets of this online for around $8 to $10 USD. I'm also going to be using one of these. This is a 5-in-1 collapsible reflector/diffuser panel. If you're into photography at all and you don't have one of these, you need to get one. These are a fantastic tool for bouncing the light, for diffusing the light, and even blocking the light. They work really well. They're collapsible into a really small size. You can find them in a wide variety of sizes. So this is actually a 20-inch model. And the best part is, these are very inexpensive. You can find these for around $15 USD online. In the example setups, I'm probably only going to use the center panel of this, which is made of a fabric diffusion material. And if you don't have a 5-in-1 reflector and you're not going to get one, you can use other items to diffuse the light. You can use specially made diffusion filter like this Rosco 116 here, or you can use other items like parchment paper, wax paper, tissue paper, or even a shower curtain. Those will all diffuse the light. But like I said, I would recommend that you pick one of these up. They're very inexpensive and super useful for all kinds of photography. Now, to hold these light modifiers in place, I would recommend that you pick up a bunch of plastic clamps like this. You can find these at your local hardware store, and some tape. Now, I would recommend getting some industry-specific tape like gaffer's tape, or what I'm going to use here, this is called industry tape, and it's kind of like high-tech gaff tape. It's designed so that it won't leave residue all over your stuff. I would not recommend using duct tape because although it does stick to things very well, it tends to leave residue and it kind of ruins anything that it touches. So use gaffer's tape or industry tape and you'll be all set. So now that you know what you need to be able to follow along with the example setups, you're ready to move on to the next chapter in this course. In the next chapter of this course, you're going to learn about some of the technical details that you're going to want to know to be able to produce great looking product shots with your iPhone. So check that out coming up in the next few lessons.